We have some YouTube friends, Ken and Renee LePreux, that is Mad Petrolhead, on YouTube, and they live in New Zealand. It is a pretty cool thing to have YouTube friends all over the world. Well, I don't know how we got started on biscuits, but they have sent me a recipe for what they call Gingernut biscuits. And down there in New Zealand, they buy them at the store, and Ken says they're really hard and you absolutely have to dunk them in your coffee or your tea because they break your teeth if you don't. So Renee makes her own ginger nuts. So they have kindly sent me the recipe, and I am off to make these today. So the first thing I'm going to do, it calls for 3 ounces of butter or margarine. I'm going to use butter. And I found that a stick is 4 ounces, so it's basically 6 tablespoons instead of the 8 of butter. And I'm going to put this in a pan, and I'm going to be cooking it and melting it. So it's 3 ounces of the butter. It's a half a cup of brown sugar. And I didn't write down the name that she gave me in her recipe, but she translated it and said the ingredient is molasses. So this is what I'm putting in. The 3 ounces of butter, half a cup of brown sugar, and she uses 4 tablespoons of molasses, so that's what I'm using. So I'm going to be putting that into my saucepan, cooking it, letting it cool, then we'll go on to the dry ingredients. So I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, I've got my 3 ounces of butter, my half a cup of brown sugar, and 4 tablespoons of molasses. That starts to melt. Just turn the heat on. I will start measuring out my flour. Now, in order to make these gluten-free, I have this great gluten-free recipe-ready flour mix that I will be using. So this calls for 2 cups of flour, sifted with the dry ingredients. So let's get out 1 cup measure. A little leftover. Now the other dry ingredients are teaspoon. Uh-oh, there's my teaspoon. Oh, right here. Okay, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda, let's see, 2 teaspoons of ginger. These are Gingernut biscuits. So, yeah, 2 teaspoons of ginger, and then a teaspoon of mixed spice. Now, I didn't know what that was, so Ken very kindly messaged me with a picture of their mixed spice. They get it all in a container. The only thing, it's really just your basic spices, and so I've mixed up ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, and cloves in this little container. The only thing I'm missing is coriander, and that's the other thing that goes in it. But you know what? They're going to taste good. So this is my mixed spice, and I'm going to do a teaspoon of that. So there we go. Let me go check my my pan. Butter is beginning to melt, so that's good. Just going to cook that until melted. So I'm going to sign off for a minute while that finishes melting, and then I'll be back.